Hotep. This learning session we will be discussing Smai Tawi. First of all, my name is NebKaRa Kherishetapheru of Per Ankh Smai Tawi here in St. Croix, US Virgin Islands. I am the elder and the chief scribe Sesh of the Per Ankh here, along with Dr. HmNtchr NebKaRa, my co-director. This afternoon we're going to be discussing the nation of Smai Tawi, the need for us to re-identify ourselves with the indigenous and oldest known recorded United Nation of African people, which was called Smai Tawi. Pay respect to that which is what it is, pay respect to the forces and powers of the Naton, nature, and to also pay respect to those who've gone before us, those who are elders and are contributing to what we are, and that we may also pay respect to the younger ones, and they may prepare a way for yet on board. As is customary and ancestral, we want to first say praise and thanks to HmNtchr, the one great supreme being, our great mother, father, and to the powers of nature, that which is the aspect of the one great supreme being that manifests in what we call the laws of nature and the powers of nature that create and sustain our being. We also want to pay respect to those great personalities, both male and female personalities, those great mistresses and masters, who paved the way, lived the way, and were examples of the way of Ma'at, Shehuti, Sesheta, the way of the Per Ankh, that which means simply consciousness, wisdom, and knowledge and practice. We also want to pay respect to all those great ones who have worked hard in their research and living the way in contemporary times, both living and departed. Those who went and opened the way for us to, again, realign ourselves with our ancestry, to find ourselves. We want to say praise and thanks to all those great ones. I should say, we'll be discussing the declaration of the sacred and sovereign New Smai Tawi nation. And before we go into that, I'd like to first of all say that there is a need for us to go into ourselves and ask ourselves some very, very, very serious questions. We need to know who we are. There's an ancient African proverb that simply says, if you do not know where you're going, any road will take you there. If you do not know where you come from, any road will tell you where you came from. It simply means you don't know. So what we need to do is we need to go to the crossroads of our ancestry and find the path, the road that we came from, that we may then know our present situation, so that we may find that proper path, that proper way for which we have to now partake and start trotting that path so that we can learn truly who we are and what we have to do. That we have found is that our ancestors left a name, a very important name, that was the name of our sovereign nation. A sovereign nation that was founded in prehistoric times by Asar, Ast, and the divine family, the Naton family, as according to the ancestral teachings. And this particular nation again was reunited between the 4th and the 3rd millennium BCE, before the current era. That's during the time of what we call the reunification period of Mena or Namur, during more or less between 4240 BC to 3200 BC. And so what we're doing is we're tracing our ancestry in terms of the name of that nation based on that knowledge system. According to that knowledge that the ancestors left for us, we find that the name of that particular area of Northeast Africa, which we today call Egypt, they call Kemet Newt. Other times they call it Tameri. Farther south, you had what they call Taseti, also Takinsu. Farther south, you have Puanet. And farther south, you had what we call Ta-Nteru and also Atepta. Dynastic time, there was a great civilization called SmaiTawi. SmaiTawi simply means the united two or twin land. That is the unity of the northern portion and the southern portion, the twin land, all traced along the great happy Nile River. The name of the countries we already mentioned, but the name of the nation, we need to record this, we need to get this in our memory and in our psyche, because it is the name of our united nation that was a sovereign nation where we were able to exemplify and be a model for other parts of the world, other human families as a united nation. The first historically recorded united nation that had 42 more or less states during the time of Mena, which we call today separated, or what we also call nones. We hear about the United States having 52 states. Well, back way in before Christ, before Abraham, before Moses, there was SmaiTawi with its 42 states. SmaiTawi was a river organization and country and nation, because the river was the great transporting highway of communication between the north and the south and inner Africa. So we have there a nation depending upon the river for transportation, and also depending on the river for its inundation to fertilize the soil, bring its rich alluvial soil from the southern hemisphere into the northern hemisphere of the nation, and with enabling it to have a very fertile soil for the practice of agriculture. SmaiTawi was an agrarian culture, a garden culture, a culture rooted in the practice of agriculture, also rooted in the practice of astronomy. It is this nation that we, again, need to realign ourselves and do research and find out more about this nation so that we can reclaim this name as our nation in the present time. The essence and the teachings of SmaiTawi is in the story of Ast and Asar and Heru. In prehistoric times, according to the teachings, there were people called the Ainu who lived farther south of what is today called Egypt, more toward the areas of Ethiopia and towards Central Africa. And according to the story, their families journeyed down towards the north and came into that area as today called Egypt, Nubia, and began to develop what we call the civilization of PerAnkh Smai Tawi. According to that story, Asar and Ast brought the arts and sciences of agriculture, astronomy, construction, weaving, and all various aspects of the elements needed for develop civilization. They brought with them the art and sciences of writing, of healing. And so we have the foundation of what we call today civilization coming from an ancestral root from inner Africa through Ast and Asar. And it is time for us to reclaim this knowledge and understanding of ourselves, that we may resurrect ourselves again and raise up ourselves as a nation and utilize what the ancestors left as SmaiTawi. HmNtchr NebKaRa Kherishetapheru.